always do, but they held back a shit ton more than they should have done. And to be honest, a lot of it that was left over were back orders that could have been printed tomorrow. But while the person while the people who decided, who was working from home today, well, by the sounds of it, really didn't give a shit and just decided to pass them and print them through.
Oh, that's rather nice.
So, yeah, bit of a dick move. So yeah, I did some overtime, not of my choice. And then
do you actually get paid good for it, or?
Yeah, we get we get pretty much paid pretty much the same.
That seems not worth.
It's anything extra, mate.
Suppose.
I don't really mind, because by the time we finished with delivery, getting stuff on the parcel horse lorry anyway, it was 5:45, and I thought I may as well just fucking stay for the extra 15 and get paid extra for it.
That's fair.
Yeah, so that was my reason behind it. Hello, Kirby.
Hello.
Kirby.
One important question, mate.
No.
Have you heard from Jeff?
Well, actually, funnily enough, same answer, no.
I'm a bit concerned. Because it's normally when we don't hear from Jeff before this point, is always a fucking worry.
To be fair, I will give him his due. If he has any problems, he will inform me, unless there is an emergency, at least 6 hours before. And I'm not shitting you, I can actually bring print screens and shit.
No, I believe it. That's why I said I'm worried.
He's right here.
There he is!
You were worried.
Yeah, like I said, it's rare that
you
we don't
were
really hear from
worried. You
yes.
beanie baby bitch.
Just give you a heads up, Jeff, if you don't know, you're muted. But I'm assuming he knows.
Connor's still worried.
Yeah. Hello, Mozzie.
Hi.
Mozzie.
Oh, you're extra loud today, Mozzie. I love it.
Extra what?
Exactly.
Okay. I can lower it if you want, if it's too loud.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Is this okay?
You're fine as you are.
It's not made a difference, but it is fine.
Okay.
Your adjustments were in vain. Oh. Yeah, at some point I will need to pop downstairs and get my food out of the oven.
Cool.
Just as a heads up.
To be fair, at some point later on I'll have to actually make food, so it'll probably be an oven job.
Nice. Oh shit. I'm a fucking moron. It's because I rolled a d20 on my one-shot page, thinking I was rolling up for this, and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Scrub.
But oh, for fuck's sake. It does kind of work out, because it's going to scare everyone in the chat now, and they're going to be like, Connor, why have you rolled a d20? And I'll just be like, because reasons.
Prepare your butthole.
Yep. Someone on the one-shots made a very interesting class, race, and I'm very happy with it. He's chosen a Yuan T. I've never seen anyone play it.
Yes, you have.
You did.
Did I?
Yeah, Jason.
Who's Jason?
Jason was before Connor.
Jason.
Okay. I was going to say I never met Jason.
You lucky little duck.
Because Jason was before me. I've heard of Jason, but I've never actually had the pleasure of meeting him.
Pleasure.
and I'll say that as sarcastically as possible.
Jason.
Yeah, like I said, I've
Peter.
never seen anyone play a UMT, so you know, I'm pretty happy because this guy who's doing one shot, who's chosen this race, always chooses a drow, but it's his favourite, and I'm breaking him out of the mould of just going drow every time.
It's gotta
So
be
I'm proud of him.
me.
Plus, he would have a suckish time in a desert map as a drow.
I mean, not really.
He just would have to mummify himself from the sun until he got to the cave. Which I did say to him, yeah, it is, you can if you want be a drow and you will be in the cave, but before that, preferably you will be outside, so you'll be mummifying yourself from the sun. It's like, I feel like you're trying to direct me from not going drow, but I kind of don't know what I want to go, and I'm like, if it makes a difference, if you want to try something new, do it, because it's a one shot, and you will have fun with it. Wow. It's gonna be me.
It's gotta be May.
If my name was May, then I would agree, but no.
That's because it's not you, Connor.
Yeah, my name's not May, so it's not gonna be May.
It is not May.
It was called May.
It's not Connor Bay.
It's not gonna be May, but it's gonna be me. Ooh. Right. Wow, all I'm going to say is, looking at things, I think I know who's recapping.
It's gotta be Connor.
It's gotta be me. Right.
It's gotta be C.
Okay. Right. I'm going to close that and right, full attention on this.
Is everybody here?
Yeah.
Roll call, everyone.
Kerbalicious Nutritious?
Mozzie.
Yes.
Jeff.
Jeffrey Diddly Diggity DM
Kirby?
Dunham.
Jaffafa.
He already said I interrupted him.
Kirby.
Yep, I've already established that I'm here.
Everyone's here. Let's go. And that is roll call.
Reporting Connor for interrupting DM. Hi. Hey Connor,
Yes,
are you here?
I am.
Leo, you here?
No, not really. Ready when you are, Connor.
Cool. Do I have your permission, sire?
You do indeed. You may proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Right.
Just appeasing me for the hell of it.
Yes, I am. Okay. A wee bit rusty because it's been a little while, but I will pretty much recap everything that I can remember. If there are any major plots that I've missed or any key information, let me know. But right, last session started out with we finally made a move on. Well, or as I like to normally say, we got moseying on out of there.
Terrible. Carry on.
Anyways, yeah, we started finally making our way out of the cave. We got told by the Minotaur, who we came across that was injured, who we at first thought was hostile, that there was a jail cell that had captives in. And then picking up from there, we let the boar out, which we thought the boar would be interesting or wanted to be tamed, but we got told there was a lot of magic surrounding it. Transmutation magic, was it, around it?
Yes.
Nice. I remembered that. Perfect. So it was interesting and probably perceived that it might have been some form of druid or some form of polymorph. Don't know. But anyways, we broke the lock and the boar just went wild, literally, and just ran on out. Didn't stop, didn't look, just literally straight on ran. And it was like, oh, okay then. So we, afterwards, with no further ado, we started making our way out, and as we started making our way out, there was a secret meeting held behind us at the time, which bit by bit, everyone was made aware that Halfir had very major suspicions of the woman in question was the first prisoner we managed to break free because of some form of mysterious magic surrounding her. Well, I think it was around her neck.
Enchantment magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and not the very good kind by the sounds of it, considering how suspicious Halfir was of it, which he first informed Sol about it, as me and Varnex led the way out, whilst being guided through by Brick's assistant of how to get out of here. We made our way through the armory, where we were told there was a dwarven man who was also kept in the blacksmithery area, forced to make weapons. But by the time we got to the blacksmithing area, well, bloodshed and carnage was the scene that was painted, and no sign of anyone. So afterwards, we pressed on through. A small bit of small talk was exchanged, and etc. And then it was also made very apparent that, to me and Varnex, that Halfir did not like the woman, and that she was very suspicious and to be perceived as very dangerous. From which, after a while, things started bubbling over, that the concerns were made very open, and even to the woman in question, which she was a bit like, okay, I don't kind of care what you think of me, but I am happy to be escorted by you guys, and I mean no harm unless you decide to do anything, but even if you do, I can't do much self-defense because I don't have my staff, and the staff is the very thing that has my power. And I keep calling her the woman in question, but I've now remembered her name, and it is Katrina, which I'll call her Katrina the Wildling Lady, because she looks pretty wild. Anyways, we made our way out of the cave finally finding the exit. And as we began to see if the coast was clear, we came out to the opening, which there was more bloodshed. Something had been through here, a lot of somethings, and it was perceived that it was probably kobolds due to the track. I think it was either tracks that were found or some form of markings that was perceived, well, that was recognised. I think it was by Sol or Halfir, can't remember which one, and it was said that it was belonging to a razorback, a elder copper skin raptor.
Well, that's the badger.
And after we got a bit spooked and was like, shit, we need to make sure that we do not take the wrong path that may lead us straight to them. The woman was like, well, the guy we picked up with us, the captain man with an eye patch, what was his name again? Oh, I'm going to just look on the journal. Ah, Adric Bell. That's the one. Adric Bell, with which he could barely see as it was, and how knackered he was, because I think he was probably the first one captured. It pointed the way of roughly of where he came from and etc. And was like, yeah, it's around this way. Whilst Katrina said, that's kind of the long way, in my opinion, if you ask me. It's going to be straight down this path, and if we take this path, we'll get there quicker. Which Halfir spoke his opinion out loud, saying, no, you're leading us into a trap, this is a load of poppycock, and you're full of shit. Which she made clear that she had no reason to lie, and was a bit fed up of the accusations that were being made at her, because she had no power to gain, or anything to gain out of leading us to a trap. Neither would she have the effort and resources to really do anything about, well, disposing of us, which Halfir said, well, we don't know that, we can't trust you. Garrick, being fed up of all of this and being tired through the whole expenditure of his day in general, kind of got fed up and was like, can we just decide in a way? Nothing, well, Carrick wasn't being heard, arguments still ensued, Carrick sort of snapped and said, right, how about we do both ideas, we go this way, because as no one's really deciding on that idea and we're going backwards and forth between each other, why can't we just do something that benefits all of us? Which Halfir disagreed, said he was not the leader of the group and that he had no right to speak on behalf of everyone. And that's where they had a little bit of a spat. Then, yeah, so we went Adric's way first, got a bit lost, and Katrina kind of pointed out a more secure route because she knew where to go from here, which, as suspicious as Halfir was, it got to the point where there was no point in staying till night time and taking the long way through when we could take the short way through and make it to the village quicker. So we took the shorter route, didn't encounter anything on the way, so it was somewhat clear that the rest of the pathway was clear and Katrina was somewhat right, and we pretty much arrived to the entrance of the village, and that's where we left off, and we saw this altar of sorts towering way over the trees. Is there anything else that I've missed?
Not that I can think of.
Hey, I've done pretty well.
So, let me just stretch real quick because I didn't do it before I started.
And with that, I'm going to quickly dash down and get my team. So, I've got my headphones on, by the way, so I can hear.
Yeah. Sorry, everything's just coming loose and my body's all like just achy now. So as you come to the entrance to the village, of course, you guys can all see what's basically equivalent to a tower. As I said before, it does have a, or at least I believe I should have said it anyway, it has a floating circular, more like, it kind of looks like a crystal almost, floating above the tower, similar to what the earthen gate had, where it had a boulder of some kind, like a large rock. This crystalline circular shape is exuding water down over the tower at all points. It doesn't look like it's rapid by any regards, and it doesn't seem like the water really goes anywhere outside of the tower's radius. It seems it just sinks down and disappears in amongst the stone from what little you can tell from this angle. But other than that, you guys still have a lot of trees in the way. There is the gentle smoke that's billowing from above the tree's canopy that you can just about make out from the pathway as it deviates a little into your line of sight. As well as the confirmation from Katrina, and a little bit of a confirmation from Edric, whose consciousness has been mostly faded the entire time anyway, but with what little cognizance he's got now anyway, he confirms, just judging by the path alone. Feel free to throw yourselves as you please. Without saying the obvious, these trees are... Sorry to interrupt real quick. These trees are dense, but you can move through them if you wanted to.
What time of day is it?
As of current, it's looking upwards, generally getting a glance at the sun. You give it somewhere in the mid to late afternoon. It's not exactly dark yet, but it looks like it's going to start changing hues soon.
From our perspective, can we see that this tower, the architecture is in any way similar to the one that we encountered before?
Oh, definitely. At the very least, the fact that there's a floating crystal ball with no supports that's just exuding water, that on its own is a good enough show. And then getting even like more in-depth look through the water, you can see the stairway is sort of similar as well. It spirals.
So from here we can definitely tell it's the same structure as the one back there.
It would seem so, yeah.
I immediately turn and face Soul, just give him a blank stare, and I just go, don't.
Not now. Maybe later. We need to rest first.
Yes, we need to rest, but knowing you just went and did it.
Well, but it turned out fine, didn't it?
You didn't know.
Katrina's currently looking at the pair of you with that kind of, not concern or anything, it's intrigue, and then she looks towards generally where you pointed, and then looks back. I wouldn't worry, that one was dealt with a long time ago.
What did she say?
That one was dealt with a long time ago.
What do you mean dealt with a long time ago?
My family, when we came here, dealt with that one. We had already gone inside. Hazard as it was, I am the last that came out of it.
And what was inside?
Nothing of real import, else you would see me emblazoned in it. But I did manage to defeat the elemental that was hiding inside. You can probably still get inside if you have a key, that is.
Did you take anything from there?
Well, there was a couple of coins, and I did manage to collect a few pieces of ingredients I needed. Not to mention, once I'd activated it, the waters have become very useful to me and my villagers. It has very minor restorative properties. When used correctly, that is.
What was the gimmick?
I assume you mean the trial by combat. For what I recall, the water elemental had a habit of trying to push us all towards one destination, the center of the room, which was filled with these very gnarly teeth. I'm not too sure what the purpose was, but my sisters seemed to act rather abrasive. There was this weird moment where their minds were drawn, and they felt they needed to step into the center. They had clearly lost their minds in the attempt. I'd managed to destroy the elemental with a certain spell, They, however, did not come out unscathed.
Well, I
I
still
would
think
just- I'd like to insight check her, because she's mentioned something about keys, and I'm not quite sure if, yeah, I'd like to see if she's trying to hide anything from us while she's talking.
Okay. In before 19. Fucking alright. Well, I don't even need to take you to secrets for this one, unfortunately. But I will keep that insight in mind for the next couple of minutes at the very least. She is obviously omitting some details, but you get the sense it's not because they're important. It's just because she doesn't really care about the small details anymore. It happened. It sucks. She does. There is a very minor undertone as she's saying this, and she is keeping eye contact with everybody. But there is one point where she breaks away after mentioning that they got trapped in the middle of it, where she kind of holds a bit of sadness, as if she probably could have done something at the time, but either didn't have the power or didn't think of it. And she's thought about this for a long time. She's long since gotten over it, but nonetheless, her sisters, brothers, whatever they were killed in the attempt. She doesn't seem like the risk was worth the end goal, the end reward.
Okay. I look at her and I say, you mentioned keys. A key. Are there multiple keys for these towers, these structures, or are there normally only one?
No, as far as I was aware, there are ways to break into them. They are linked to extraplanar circumstances. My sisters and I, when we linked together, we were capable of opening up this one. And then we settled, and the village was formed. But obviously not before their lives were taken. But in our youth, we were strong enough to force our will inside. And, well, I've already spoken of the rest. But as far as I've learned over the years of studying it, the moment the Guardian was defeated, the gateway was open to me, the champion of it. But nobody else has been able to even open the door, so to speak, since. And I've had many an attempt. Many passers-by, many attempts at invasion. But, plausibly, I assume there is a specific key or trinket that is set to open it once more. Why the curiosity that you would speak so friendly with me now?
I completely ignore her question and just keep pressing her with other things. Sorry.
I say, exhausted. We haven't rested in a long time.
Eric will just sort of like look over and just look behind, just look a bit sad and just say, "Sorry for your loss, by the way."
Thank you.
You say you and your sisters. How many sisters do you have, or did you have?
She kind of turns her head away for a moment and continues walking along the path, but you hear her say the word two. And then she...
Okay, so with all the information I've collected on her, can I roll, like, something to try to put two and two together? She's got two sisters. They link together for magic. She collected materials for, like, potions and spells and craft. sounds awfully haggy to me, but we'll see. See, he knows that.
Perform yourself a lovely. Although to be fair, considering you're druidic, with advantage with a very, very simple DC, make either an Arcana or Nature check. Yeah. Long story short, yes. It doesn't seem clear what kind of hag she is. She doesn't have any of the physical tells of one, but she could be masking her appearance. But judging by it all,
As they do.
she's definitely a hag. And the bit that confuses you, though, is a deep reliance on this staff that she mentioned. Because hags, if given enough time, would easily just cast magic as normal. They have a natural affinity for magic. They can just cast it as they want. She's shown, or at least has deceived, in that she doesn't have any magical power and has a heavy reliance on whatever the staff is. So take that as you will. So I did not put...
Yeah, I shall keep that to myself for now.
Okay. Brick is with you too, because I forgot to put his token down.
Just curious, was Eric still? Well, Eric's still on my back.
Edric is just walking now. He's walking a little bit slowly as you guys are talking, but
I'll prop him up with my shoulder and just help him walk along.
As you guys get to this point, Brick kind of stops along the path and just kind of like looks around, trying to see if he can see anything. You can see that he's seen the smoke rising up from above, and he's currently like rubbing the back of his head with just kind of like looking away.
It's just a look of worry, would you say?
Loosely, it looks as if it's more so along the lines of he doesn't want to scare anyone.
Carrick will just sort of like look to Brick, get his attention with a sort of like with a bit of a cough, like
Kind of glances over, still kind of like scratching the back of his head a bit.
I sort of like look at him and just point, to say, "Give us a hand," and just point to my shoulder and Adric's arm, and just point to the other side of the guy.
So he looks back up over toward the smoke. Then he walks over and grabs Edric's arm and hoists it up.
Yeah, so we've both got them supported.
Yep. Does anyone else want
I'll sort of look to Adric and say, "I know this probably seems a bit unnecessary, but you've been through a lot, mate. Take it easy. You're with good company."
He gives you a small nod and just exhales kind of deeply. And then just takes a step at a time. Anybody else have anything they would like to say before we continue to camp?
I'm just soaking in what you said about that. I just want to, rest up.
So, I will gently move you all forward a little bit. Oop. As you get around the corner, standing in front of the pathway is a tall figure, a slightly skinned head. They stand at a good like 6'2", currently body covered in what looks to be this mixture of leather and hide, with quite a few exposed areas. It's almost like it's loose fitting and just there for the sake of, like deflecting an arrow shot every now and again, or taking an arrow shot. They have a large hammer over their shoulder, and Their eyes drift over toward you. They kind of gloss over each of you for a second. Hold there. What's your business? And then you see he kind of tilts his head a little bit and looks over toward Katrina. Oh, never mind. Go on in. And then he takes a step aside.
So she's a big shot here. Interesting.
Do you guys?
Sort of like peers over at Katrina and just says, "You seem to be quite a popular lady."
Well, I should hope so. And so, is everyone going straight through?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to Weindoll Village. As you walk through, as you turn the corner past the canopy of trees, and you see the open expanse of it all, the place looks a little bit run down, but the atmosphere is warm. There are a couple of fires going, a couple of them have been snuffed out. There are people gathering around the table with mugs of drink. Food doesn't seem like it's a real problem. They have a large table in the middle, as you can obviously see, with an abundance of different, like, mostly vegetarian kind of foods, but there are sort of small plates of meat as well, of different looks and textures. You are pretty sure you see some kind of chitinous hide as well in one of the bowls, and you kind of just like, oh, okay, well, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. They have to eat what they eat. Along the far left side, you see what looks to be a couple of horses currently chewing on some hay. A woman is pouring a series of buckets into a pail for them to later drink from. A basin? Pail? Anyway. There are an assortment of tents all around that seem to be for specific families. And there's just an abundance of random crates and pieces of wood and just an assortment of crap, mostly. This place isn't a mess by any regards. There is a lazy method to their madness. But this place is, again, it's in the middle of nowhere. They've made it as cozy as they can. You can see a series of boar at the back that are very casually just tied up inside of a tent. They have little bowls of food placed down for them that they're currently just like destroying. And yeah, there are a series of young kids, not very many though. You can see maybe 4 over a good, obviously ignoring the tokens on the map, there's a good like 30 adults maybe, either moving in and out through the forest, going to collect something, or going to and fro their tents. And there's like 4 or 5 kids that you can count. Most of the people here look in their like either late 40s or very early like teens at best. There's not very much in between. On the fire to the right, you can see a couple more of the kind of like vaguely armoured figures that kind of turn and look toward you with an experienced eye, just glancing over each of you. None of them draw a weapon. But as you walk in, you see as a figure at the back of the table kind of looks over towards you each, kind of squints for a second and then stands up, walks to the tent at the back, makes a couple of motions and then points with his thumb backwards toward you guys. And then 2 figures come walking out. And they come over very swiftly to greet you. The man to the left is Reginald Walgram. He is the technical head of the expedition itself here. He is the one that you will be directly talking to when you want to go on a new quest, or if you want payment or somewhere to stay, etc. He is the one that oversees all of it. He, as well as a handful of other adventurers, came here on a ship first and sent them out on their own assorted missions to find somewhere decent to stay for the time being. Given that Weindoll was the only habitable place, this is where he now stays, and he's using this place as his not long-term base, but it would be for now, and hopefully will be expanded on soon. The woman, however, to his right, is this lovely lady, Annalise Hall. She is the leader of a particular guild called the Wild Hunt. Feel free to read that if you would like. Reginald steps forward. His demeanour is very open, but he seems very experienced. He has a kind of air of authority to him. He has a single eye patch on his left eye, or right, I suppose, depending on which direction. He does have 2 claymores on his back at current. He's wearing this mishmash of armours with one steel shoulder pauldron on his right and what looks to be some kind of hide on his left, with a single chest piece of the same type. As he steps forward, looks over each of you and looks kind of past you, Halfir, towards Sol, and then toward Edric, and then toward Katrina, and he does a small nod toward her for a moment. Looks kind of at Brick and Varnex for a moment, but doesn't seem to give any stressed regards or anything. It doesn't seem panicked by your appearance. Wonderful. Tell me, what happened with your excursions? By the judge of you, you're all in one piece. I would assume a success. Reports, please.
Who's talking to who?
All of you, pretty much.
Oh,
I imagine mainly you, because he doesn't know, like,
yeah.
hardly any.
Well, I see Katrina goes first. Does she want to say something?
As she goes walking forward, she places her hand very gently on his shoulder and then just walks past.
Well, then I'm going to say, so we're checking out the cave over there. Lots of goblins and orcs. They imprisoned in Sphinx. Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
We all are.
And oh, we also saw something like this, and I point to this. And back there, yeah, we found this guy right by me, and I gently tap his shoulder so he doesn't fall over.
He holds his hand up and just says, "Alright, boss, don't mind the cracked exterior. I'm roughly in one piece."
Yeah, but while we were inside this, before we went inside, there were goblins and orcs and all of that, and when we went back out, they all died because of lizard folk, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that might be an issue.
It's rather disturbing that they've wandered that far out of their own territory, but there's nothing that can be done of that now. Good job in at least returning my man to me, and hopefully uncovering new Knowledge. What did you experience inside of the tower over there?
It's like a different plane of existence. It's super. It's not like here. It's different. While we were inside, we saw like a big gelatinous cube pop out of nowhere, just digest a bunch of mushrooms. Everything is a bit, like you're tripping on drugs or something. And inside there was a big chamber with, and essentially I just continue and tell everything about, the scales and
Mm-hmm.
Gola? No, not elemental,
Mm-hmm.
earth elemental.
Well, yes, that roughly aligns
Yeah,
with
we
what
found
I've been
the
told.
whip oh. Yeah. And I tell them what we found, like the whip and the armor and whatever the thing that Halfir has.
Hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you do. It's right here in your bag.
As he does that, do I see this lady looking over here, or is she just still walking away?
No, at the moment she seems caught up with a couple of the villagers that are currently like nice swarming around her, like she's a goddess. They're currently just like, just with eyes just pure wide open, just looking at her as if to say like, "Oh, thank God you're back." There's this and blah blah blah. And she's just looking at them each with the same kind of face she looked at each of you with, but there doesn't seem to be anything more than that. She's just attending.
Okay. Alright, so I won't try to, like, draw any more attention to his soul. Just gestures or whatever he's doing to this thing in my bag.
It was rather a good show of you to bring back not only my man, but not really sure what you'd call it in this state, but the mayor, the mayoress, which of the many titles that would be most appropriate. So, jolly good. I will make sure to put an extra bit of funding in the docket for you. Now then, I know of you two, but the other four, we are going to need to get rather acquainted before I pass along any money, if that would be fine. Unless you're not bothered, then you may stay the night. I've been given that much of a privilege. But beyond that, I don't suppose you particularly care to stick around? There would
As
be...
soon as Carrick hears money and that he needs to be acquainted in order to get it, Carrick sort of like walks straight over with a sort of like a hearty hand held out shake. He goes, "Name's Carrick. I kind of washed up on shore, kind of met a few of you guys, and well, I've been lending a hand."
As
I
you...
mentioned money, Carrick turns to Mr. Krabs.
money. As you take a step forward, you're just like, oh, money. You see that Elnalise, whose arms have been crossed this entire time, her eye scans you as you walk along. Doesn't say anything, but she just looks you up and down, and she kind of squints when she looks at your face for a moment.
I give her a quick sort of like eye glint back, but very briefly, because I'm wanting to be focused
Money.
on Reginald.
Well, yes, good boy. Now, I must ask, what's your deal? You look rather young. Not to besmirch your considerable talents that you may or may not have, but how old are you, boy?
I always tend to get this a lot. It's sort of like he rubs his hand on the back of his head. Admittingly, if I can be blunt, I'm not usually the biggest fan of when people underestimate me due to how young I am, but...
Oh, believe me, there's
I
no
am
underestimation. I just have to be sure.
I'm 18.
Hmm. Yet you wear the scars of a man twice your age. It is interesting.
Well, I've been fighting for as long as I know, and been taught how to use a sword at a young age, and more or less forced to act on it.
So
Not
you...
everyone is blessed with an easy upbringing.
Hmm. So you're more of a hand-to-hand. That's good to know. That means we can also put you to work, carrying some of the logs back and forth. Some of these older folk are not very good with that anymore.
Eric's eyes sort of like light up when he says puts to work. Yes, I'd be happy to help.
Good. I'll test you personally with swordsmanship later. Would you mind stepping back to the line, please?
Of course. But before that, sorry to be so rude when I say this, he points to the bugbear guy over there. He goes, "This is a friend I kind of met on the way, and I kind of would appreciate it if he's not scrutinised so much, because he helped me, and he continued to help everyone behind me navigate through the cave.
You see, as
And he does not mean any harm. He's a good guy, just misunderstood and doesn't talk common."
as Brick is literally like knelt down a little bit and is kind of like stroking underneath the chin of the raptors and is just kind of looking at them, and he's doing that kind of thing you do with dogs where you pull a silly face and you're just like, goo goo goo, yeah, you look at you, and it's just like, right, other than it's like stroking their chin, and then he hears his name and he kind of stops and he turns around with that kind of look of, oh shit, someone's talking about me.
Just sort of like gives him a thumbs up, like, and just gives a bit of a smile.
Reginald looks over toward him, his one eyebrow raised. Well, yes, he is a rather... he's a unique fellow. I'm not one to judge. After all, this place is only so prejudiced due to their history. The rest of the world is not so temperamental. I will, of course, hold no judgment. I cannot say much for the people here. I will have a word, but I cannot say that he will not be stared at the very least. After all,
Anyone that does get suspicious of him, he can be placed under my watch.
jolly good. A man who takes action and responsibility. I shall keep that in mind. Now go on, back to the line. I have many people to identify.
Eric sort of like abruptly steps backward, keeping eye contact with him, and awkwardly almost walks into
There's a like practice.
Edric.
There's also a practice dummy behind you, and you kind of feel something poke your back, and you kind of just like, oh shit. You turn around and you see it's like the end of an arrow. Wonderful. Well, since that sporting young bugbear fellow there cannot speak, I will just assume that the weapon on his side designates what he's capable of for now, and hopefully we will interpret for him later. You, my sporting dragonborn friend, might you tell me who you are and what you can do?
I approach him. My name is Varnex. I would like a fair amount of the cash. I'm good with manual labor, and I'm good with hand-to-hand combat as well as various weapons, and I gesture to the ones I have, the quarterstaff on my back and the sword at my side.
Good. I assume you're rather acrobatic with a kind of claim like that. The canopy around here is rather difficult for some of us old fogies to climb. If I would be so presumptuous and ask every now and again that you do a bit of aerial scouting for me, so to speak.
I make a short bow, and I go, of course.
Jolly good. Not to put a limit on things, but it goes without saying, do me a favour and what sort of breath capability do you have?
I wasn't expecting this. Fire.
Hmm,
Flame.
good. It should...
Can I just, like, spit a bit of fire
You just kind of go
onto
like...
the fire in front of me there? Like, yeah.
He just turns, watches as the fire burns up just a smidge bit more. Jolly good. Do not do that while you're here. These people are rather, let's say, more naturally inclined. They're not very aware of the concept of magic, much less of fire-breathing creatures such as yourself. If you have to, try to avoid the trees without saying the obvious, and definitely avoid doing it in the presence of one of them, unless it is in the safety of their lives, of course. But otherwise, it's good to meet you. And of course, I'm assuming that though Edric and Sol both know of me, I should introduce myself. I am, of course, Reginald Walgrim, the commander of the expedition, and will, of course, be paying all of your wages, should you decide to join on. Unless there is anything else you would like to tell me or ask, please step back to the line.
I'll just nod and I'll walk back.
Wonderful. And you, my very sour-faced friend, who might you be and what could you do?
My name is Alfia. I can do various few things, magical in nature. Some might find useful. At that point, I'll just kind of druid craft some multicolored, almost tropical-looking flowers at the base of the ground between us. They're definitely not native to this region, but I'll just cast that right there.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm well rested, I can do much more than that. Just a show for now.
That makes 2 magic casters. How wonderful. I see yours is more on the natural elemental side. That's rather interesting. You will be a very valuable asset to a poorly placed like this, should you wish to be under my employ. It is a pleasure to meet you, Sir Druid, should I assume?
An apt observation.
Wonderful.
But you don't need to worry about my employ or paying me. I have little need for that. Just a place to rest my head while I look back toward the tower, investigating and learning about these things.
Well, as much as I admire your humbleness, I will leave a small pocket of change aside for you nonetheless, as should you wish to come into the employ, housing and food all comes as part of the package. But again, whether or not you wish to is up to you. Should you help me, of course, you will be housed and fed, regardless of employment. Well, now that the better half of introductions are out of the way, this wonderful young lady behind me is Elnalise Hall. She is the Grand Master of the Wild Hunt, the Guild and Mercenary Band, hired by the expedition to act as both armed guards and defenders of any locations we manage to place a foothold in. After we finish this orientation and you're introducing yourselves in amongst the villagers and find yourself a nice space to sit for a bit, we will send a small team off to that location to secure it, hopefully, or at the very least collect anything that might be left behind and not nailed down.
Is he talking about the mountain we just left?
Yep.
That's what he's going to secure?
Yep.
You might consider sending a rather large force. The lizard folk that hit it seems to have come in quite strong numbers. If you mean to secure it, make sure it's secured well. Who knows when they'll come back?
Thank you for the warning. We will have another, I think it was 20 men on a boat by the morning. Worst case, I will send one to scout it out and keep an eye. If it is inhospitable, we will raid it tomorrow. If it's really out of our power, we will leave it be and assail it another time. But enough of this, unless there is any questions. Please find yourselves a nice hearty ale, what I believe is bug soup, and yes, it sounds unique, but it isn't. It's not as bad after the first few bites, and a lovely perch of floor to rest upon. Me and Atlesia and the lady Katrina have a lot to speak about. And then he makes motion towards the rest of the camp as he turns around, and he and Atlesia start to walk off.
Eric sort of looks to Edric and just says, "What's to do with the lady other than the fact that she's the head? She seemed to give me some form of a look."
Yeah, couldn't really tell you on that one. She's always been a little bit observant. I think she's just taking the whole bodyguard routine a bit too seriously. Hey, that probably means you're a threat to her. Then he kind of gives you like a shoulder bump.
I sort of smile and I go, "Are you sure it's just not the fact I'm her type?"
Hey, listen, you're barely 18, mister. You keep your fingers and your appendages where she can't see them, or she might chop them off.
I do like a challenge. Which Carrick smirks and just says, "I like a challenge."
He kind of shakes his head a little bit, and there's a little bit of a grin. He then kind of like slowly stumbles his way over toward the nearest table, sits down in the chair, grabs the nearest mug of ale, regardless if someone else has been drinking from it or not, and just starts drinking.
At that moment, Carrick sort of like forgot that there was alcohol and forgot the sensation, so he pretty much goes to dash over, turns around to Brick, and just sort of like grab Brick by the arm and just says, "Come, come," drags him to the table with him, and passes him a mug of ale, holds it to him until he grabs it, grabs one, knocks mugs with him, and then proceeds to drink.
As you knock mugs with him, he immediately has this big grin on his face, and he says something in Goblin, and you take it to be some kind of meaning of thanks, or like drink up, or something along those lines.
Which Carrick happily does that, takes the first gulp and just like, "Oh my god," and just goes for another gulp.
Yeah. You can all feel free to place yourselves wherever you so please to be. So, firstly, as Edric sits down, the villagers at the table, for the most part, don't really seem to care much. They seem to have seen him before. That he does get some stares, but nothing like extreme. As you drag Brick along, some people are kind of like staring at you both, and you kind of feel the eyes, but you're just like, who cares? Fuck them. And as you sit down and Brick sits down, he seems to forget anyone's really looking. Not to mention most of the people that are not looking directly at him. As you sit down, Varnex, a lot of people are kind of like in hushed tones, like looking at you with that kind of like oohing and ahhing kind of appearance. It's less of a it's a monster, and it's more of a is that a dragon? Did they come like that? That kind of thing. And you do kind of catch word of people every now and again saying similar statements.
I'm not saying anything like if I'm dangerous or anything like they've seen another Dragonborn, like that's been a threat. Because I'm still aware of the first session where, what was it? Hobgoblins, bugbears?
Kobolds.
There was another one.
Kobolds.
Kobolds, yeah. So I remember them saying that there was another Dragonborn or lizard-like individual.
You don't noting anything about that. There is, just with the case of idle curiosities and all that, you do kind of, like in a vague whisper, hear someone mention, is it going to be dangerous? But other than that, it doesn't like spread. It's just a lot of curiosity. You're a new thing to them. As a note as well, actually quite a lot of these people here, you notice they have these two like tail-like appendages. Some of them keep them wrapped underneath clothing, but for the most part, a lot of these people are what are called Aranea, which are essentially half spider-like humanoids. So, yeah, they don't really have any weird appearance beside the fact that some of them have these deeper coloured eyes. So, like, it'll be brighter reds or brighter browns, blacks. And the two tail-like appendages. Otherwise, they look pretty much just like a human. So, I see someone is currently...
While they're all doing that...
Yeah, currently hugging the tree.
I'm looking for psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah.
I'm foraging for psychedelics.
Make a nature check.
Mm-hmm.
You did see a flying dragon last session, by the way.
Thought so. I couldn't remember if we did or not.
Okay. So as you're kind of like looking around, and every now and again as you're like looking around the borders of the village, and kind of rummaging through trees and whatnot, this place seems mostly pretty sparse, but you do find this one little area that seems completely void of sunlight. It's just this little patch that seems to have gone mossy almost, and there's these big bulbous mushrooms that could, like, any of them could fit in your hand. And as you kind of like look at it for a moment, you see these very fine, just because of the way your ability works, you can see these very fine like hairs on the top of it, and these very tiny spores being exuded. And very carefully you collect it up and hide it away into your bag. Do you have anything specific to put it in?
What'd you say?
Do you have anything specific you put it in, or that you want to put it in?
Probably just like a belt pouch, honestly.
Okay. So you get...
How many of those do I find?
You get 5. And they are...
And I know what... Do I... Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. They seem to be purple-headed mushrooms. You're not entirely sure what species they are, but you know they're only poisonous in the regard that it causes changes in the brain very rapidly.
That's what I'm after.
Yeah. Which, if you want a statistical thing, by the way, it gives you disadvantage on wisdom saves, and you cannot gain neutrality or advantage for the next minute.
Only for a minute? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's if consumed. This isn't talking stewed or like broth, brews or anything like that. If you turn it into a liquid form or anything, that's just if it's consumed straight up. Audio's gone. Oh no.
You said disadvantage on wisdom saves?
Yes. And you cannot gain...
Is it wisdom-based checks as well, or just the saves?
That's just the saves. you can't gain neutrality or advantage with it as well. So everybody at the table, or those of you that are still here anyway, which I think is just you, Kirby?
Yep, there's me.
Yeah. What would you like to do?
I just want to get some food. We've been hiking for a long time. I just want to sit down and get some good food.
So on the table that's left, a lot of it is like scrap pieces. It's like when you go to a kid's party and they've got all that like party food and like little weenie cocktails and whatnot. And it's all just been like the best bits have been chewed through. You've got the insect hide looking kind of meat that looks kind of squishy and tough, but it has been eaten through a little bit. And then you've got these assorted like meats that kind of look like chicken, little bits of like breads and cheeses that have been chewed through quite thoroughly.
Give me chicken and bread and cheeses.
Yeah. Okay. You get yourself a...
Eric's just going to go with a bit of everything.
Yeah, man. You both get yourselves a bit of a hearty meal and start chewing through it quite nicely. So, Brick as well, though very kind of like gingerly as he's kind of looking around a little. He kind of takes a leg of what it looks to be chicken and just kind of like takes a large bite out of it. And as he takes that first bite, he kind of closes his eyes and kind of savors it, almost as if he's never had it before. Then he just goes, just starts taking chunk out of it. Yeah. Is there anything? Obviously, I'll ask. Oh, speak of the devil. Hello, Mosey. Anything you want to do?
I'm just, since I'm probably starving, I'm just going to eat some things that's in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like up a casual conversation with the people surrounding me that I don't know.
Okay. So, Edric looks amongst each of you as you're all taking chunks away and Sol's interacting with a couple of the villagers and the like. Edric just kind of leans back a little bit on his chair, and there's that kind of look you have like after sex where you're just like, oh yeah, I feel so good. And he's just like completely drained. He's just lying back against it very deep. And then looks forward and goes, so you guys are very good at what you do, by the way. Thank you again for saving what literally wasn't much left of my life. I'll repay you all one day somehow. You just ask. Although if you want me to actually pay with blood, sweat and tears, I mean, that's fine, but if I'm gonna die for it, at least give me a heads up. That's all I want.
Eric sort of looks up with the bowl to his face and just sort of like side tilts to where he can look at him and just goes, and just slurps the rest of what's in the bowl and just like, oh, well, yeah, sure. And just grabs another mug of, well, if there's any like mugs, any more mugs there, he'll grab one. He seems quite content with the food and has taken in everything that Adrian just said, but just gives us sort of like a very laid back answer, like, yeah, all right.
So
I'll be saying, with all said and done, maybe you should still see a healer or something.
yeah, that'd be good. If our healer gets back, I'm kind of just running on scraps of flesh at this point. One of the girls that I went with, she was quite good, but she got caught in it all. I don't know if she survived or not, which means I'm probably going to be carrying some scars for a couple of days. Until at least the next convoy of them come along.
I think the only thing that you probably can do for now is, well, drink up. Carrick says that as he holds a mug. Rest up, then just let your wounds heal. Like a dog, lick your wounds clean. As he says that, he takes another sort of like gulp of the lager, ale, and he's like, oh, yes.
He grabs his, takes a drink, turns and sees Halfir coming along. He kind of scoots back a little bit and teeters his chair a little bit. Looks over toward you, Halfir, raises a glass up while looking at you, and then leans back down again. Alright, now everybody's here.
Just give him a nod.
What say we have a game of questions? Get to know each other a bit better. Every time someone refuses to answer, or can't answer, you have to drink. Oh,
Eric raises an eyebrow and sort of like stops drinking and puts the mug down and goes, I'm interested.
good. Alright then.
But, and Carrick sort of like holds his finger up and just says, but don't ask Brick any questions because he won't understand you unless you talk.
Oh, come
his
on.
language.
It was one of the menacing
Rick's gonna
reasons.
just be drinking.
It was one of the reasons I was doing it. You never know, you might learn a new language.
I sort of look to Brick and just say, what do you think, Brick?
Brick kind of just, the second you started saying his name, he's like looking between you and Edric, who's looking at him as well and making these motions. And Brick just kind of looks at you and raises an eyebrow, and then just looks over at everyone else who's staring at him. And he just has that kind of face of like, anxiety.
Carrick just pats his shoulder just to reassure him and just says, no worries, and sort of looks to Edric and just say, don't prove my point.
Is there no one here that can speak Goblin? Maybe we can finally find out what this individual thinks, wants.
He talks bits of Orcish, but not much.
Well, it's not really helped us or you very much. It's been rather vague.
You guys see,
Anyone else in this camp speak Orcish?
you see as the guy who's sat at the minute between Sol and Edric, whose head has been on the table for a while, and his face has just been completely flushed. His head slowly raises up, and he places his chin on the table, looks across each of you, and then looks toward Brick. And for a moment, you see that kind of jerk reaction of like, oh my god, it's the bugbear! And he falls backwards on his chair, and he's just like, poof! And then he looks at you each and goes, there's a bugbear!
Carrick sort of like looks at the guy, sort of like chuckles and goes, don't worry, he's with me.
He looks up at you as he's slowly like picking himself up off of the ground. I don't even know who you are, or you. And then he looks at Varnex. He turns around, looks around the camp, and sees that everyone else is kind of looking, but he doesn't seem to be registering properly. Hold on.
Eric sort of like puts his left hand up and just says, all right, take a moment.
Looks around, kind of takes a small breath, and then he kind of gently picks his chair back up, places it down, slowly takes a seat, pushes it a little bit closer towards Sol, and then he kind of looks over you each. We're, I heard, someone said something about Goblin.
Brick, the bugbear in question, can only talk Goblin, and none of us can really talk to him. I can talk Orcish, but he only understands very few words, and he seems to have good intentions, but God bless him, He doesn't understand a single word we say. Just gestures and hand motions. It's like playing charades with your old grandma who can just about picture and hear what you say.
Um,
Sort of looks to Brick. No offense.
he just looks
Not
at
that he
you
understood any of that.
as you turn to him and make that kind of like you just kind of give him that face of like no offense. He looks at you with a face that's literally saying I what? He's just like blinking and just scrunching his face. Well, I can it's sort of an old dialect, but I can sort of speak Goblin. I don't know if it'll help.
Looks
Try
quite
it. If
happy.
he understands you.
Carrick looks quite happy and just said, "Give it a go, mate."
What'd you say, Muzzy? Muzzy?
Ah,
No? Okay.
Did you say
I
something?
was essentially saying the same thing.
Oh, okay. He kind of looks toward Brick with a bit of hesitation at first, and he just goes, he starts speaking Goblin to him, and Brick immediately like leans forward, hands on the table, and just starts speaking Goblin back, and he's making these hand gestures with his right hand, and the guy immediately just like recoils back a little, just like oh. And you see Brick realizes what he's done, and he just places his hands upwards, open palmed, and holds his hands up a little bit, slowly places them down on the table, and then he says something in Goblin, and the guy seems to still slightly panicked, but he has that sort of face of like a small bit of confusion, good confusion though. And Brick starts talking to him and saying some bits. He says, he said to me, sorry for scaring you. I'm actually surprised he can understand me. I thought they didn't speak this kind of Goblin anyway. And Brick's still talking this entire time. He's basically roughly saying he didn't like the way things were. He's been trying to talk to you guys for ages, but you keep on saying something in a foreign tongue. It's kind of annoying that he can't speak back. Yada yada. You get the gist. God, he speaks so far, and he holds his hands up and kind of makes that motion of like slow down. And Brick looks at him, and his face is like scrunched a bit, and then he starts speaking what seems to be slower. Thank you. Okay, so he says that that guy that you guys let go was just a captain, but when he took the gem with him, and after you guys had killed that guy who had the gem originally, I think he said a name, it didn't really translate. He said more than likely the guy that you let go with the gem is going to use the fact that his commander is dead to give himself a bigger station in the army, and probably use the gem as a treasure. And then he starts rambling about something about his family, I think. He said that he didn't really like them and they were a bit abusive, so you kind of did him a favour. And I gotta be honest, I'm still very scared of this guy, but not so much when he rambles. Do any of you want to ask him something?
Carrick sort of looks over and just says, "I think he's probably just relieved that someone can actually talk to him and understand him. I'd probably be going insane if I was him by now if no one could understand me.
Well,
So that's why I can more or less get where he's coming from, of why he's so excited, to say the least."
It's loose translations, but I'm assuming the fact you haven't asked me for more details, it's about right.
Pretty much around the money, mate.
Okay. He kind of looks around the table at each of you and makes that kind of motion of anyone.
Yeah, we're kind of new arrivals, but just so that you know, name's Carrick. Carrick will raise his hand.
He kind of stares at your hand with a bit of confusion.
Carrick sort of looks at his hands, just a polite wave, mate.
He he literally waves at you with a confused look.
Wait, who's this? The guy?
Yep. Your customs are weird, but I'm not one to judge. I live in a small village on the edge of a part of the planet that wants to kill me at all points, so I suppose it's weird everywhere.
I see some things that change in the world then, no matter where you are.
Edric slams his mug onto the table. Come on, this is boring. Let's all get us.
Alright.
Let's all get a question going.
Okay, well, you can ask questions now, because... What's your name? Sorry, mate. No offence, but we are going to more or less include you in this game, and you can also translate for our friend, Brick here.
Everyone, roll an initiative to see who goes first in asking the question.
Very interesting.
Oh, yes. I feel like this is a very objection kind of moment where someone gets in there first. Oh, Edric, dear boy. Okay, so Brick as well. Very nice. Okay, so he proposes that the first person to raise their hand will be the one to start it off. And then second, third, etc. We'll just pretend that's how it works. So, Varnix, as you get to go first, you can ask either a question to a specific person, or you can ask the group a question. Any question you like, does not matter how pointless. Same to everybody, obviously.
Okay. Well, since we got an opportunity for this, Sol, how'd you get that orb?
That's an interesting question. Well, I was always, as you can see, up for exploring crypts and dungeons and all of that, and in one of them I just came across this thing, and I fucking chuck it behind me as hard as I can.
Mm-hmm. Make a strength
waiting
check.
for it to- Okay. It's not much.
Okay. So it rolls a good 5-6 feet behind him.
And I just put my hand out.
Then it reappears in his palm.
This happens.
Oh. I was actually legit confused. I thought you I got confused as to why you throw it that way. So this thing is legit tied to you.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a clue what the hell just happened, but god damn, that looks pretty cool.
It's a neat party trick, yeah.
Your bugbear friend said he was been meaning to ask about that. I think he's saying something about a light wall, that you made a light wall, and then things got weird. I think he's wanting to ask, what actually did you do? Apparently I think he's saying the tower's been dormant since they took over the place, and then you walked in and it started doing things?
You can tell him that I wish I knew what I did. It was just out of instinct.
And then he relays, of course. Brick's just got a thumb in his mouth and he's biting it. He's got a heavy concentration face. Continue if you wish. Although, to be fair, that would satisfy the question, I would say. Is that you finished with the answer, Muzzy?
Yeah.
Okay. Then Brick. Through the guy, he says to everybody, what is your opinions of the goblinoids? Not specifically him, goblinoids in general.
I haven't really given them much thought, to be honest. They're just a race of individuals like anyone else here.
Opinions are neutral. If they pick a fight, I'll fight. If their intentions aren't violent, we'll let them be.
Muzzy?
I don't have an issue. Okay, I don't have any prejudice against any race. If you don't want to kill me, then we're cool.
And just as it gets around to Carrick's turn, Brick places a hand on your shoulder, pulls you a little closer, hooks his arm around the back of your neck, and kind of pulls you in for kind of like a bro hug. And he says something.
Eric will embrace it and just sort of pat him on the shoulder as well.
The guy then says, he said, what is either friend or potato? I'm gonna assume the first one.
Yeah, he's taken somewhat of a liking to me. But to answer that question, I've never really met any. But the ones that I have met that tried to kill me, I can't say I'm killing the ones that tried to kill me, but I'm willing to give them another chance.
And so as each of them are translated to Brick, of course he kind of just like nods. Edric just raises an eyebrow, kind of looks Brick up and down. For a moment there's this kind of like what looks to be this showy, menacing look that he has toward Brick, and then his face snaps to an immediate like big old stupid grin. Yeah, I don't know, some of them are arseholes, but then you got little gems like this that redeem the entire race, so what can I say? I suppose neutrality too. And once again, relayed to Brick. All you see is Edric kind of wince for a second as Brick kicks his leg underneath the table. Then, when that is done, Halfir.
I'll pose this question to anyone that would answer. Do any of you believe or follow any gods or religious paths?
Eric just straight up answers, nope. But both his hands up, like dismissively, being like, nope, not really.
No to both, belief or follow? You don't believe in anything either?
No, I just live the life I'm given and whatever takes me to it.
Edric leans back on his chair to meet your gaze. Nope. Although in where I used to come from, they used to be big fans of Kalimvor, if that means anything to you. So.
Did you say Kalimvor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So by proximity, I suppose I was too. But I suppose there's a bit of passion there. It was my youth, so yes, I guess. Also not a fan of the undead. So, you know, kind of works a little bit more into that. Muzzy.
Hmm.
What about you?
I'm not really bothered by this question, you know. Whatever there is out there doesn't really mind, doesn't really, I don't know. Never thought about it.
And Vix.
Faith? Not particularly. Although I was raised in a monk temple that focused on Gilgamesh, the god of combat. There we trained in the art of hand-to-hand combat, weaponry, and all that. Despite that, I never really had much faith. It was just where I grew up.
Okay. With that question sufficiently, although there's Brick as well, but long story short, no. Brick barely understands what you're talking about. Although, in fairness, he does say through translation, to answer that, no.
Okay.
Brick does mention something akin to a tree, a tree witch that's considered godlike to his clan, but there is a bit of like weird translation when the guy tries to describe it. So there's probably a more fluent way of saying it in actual Goblin, but they can't really do it through this dialect.
Okay.
Mosey, what is your question for someone or everyone?
Hmm. Let's see.
Bye, Mosey. Let's see. Bye.
He got stage fright.
Oh, that is dramatic as anything.
His question was too much for the world to handle.
What the hell? Yeah, my mind went down.
Hello.
Shalom, Mose.
If you are talking, Mosey, you're muted.
In general.
Oh, hello.
There you are.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay. I'm going to ask in general. What are all of you doing here? What's your purpose? What are you looking for?
So, we'll go...
Good answer.
Everybody wants woof. We'll go Carrick.
I would sort of like look up to me, to meet your eyes as you say that question. Wow. I've not really, had much of an uprising, and it's always been somewhat constant fighting or defending myself. So I thought I'd just take a journey to get away from a mass majority of that, have a bit of relaxation in between, but, well, to prove myself and, well, to see what lies ahead of me in life and what I can achieve. Because I've got a lot to prove.
What a bad time for me to be eating something. Edric. He just points over toward the tent where Elise and get my words. Reginald and Elise are currently sat. Well, I think that should be sort of obvious, really. I'm a hired sword here for money. I've left my family home in Janasta. Wasn't really going anywhere there, so not really much mercenary work going around in a decently defended city full of armed guards everywhere. So I thought I'd try something risky. Now here I am. Funnily enough, though, Reginald was an acquaintance of one of my old bosses, one of my old merc pals, and got kind of A to be introduced, and now I'm here. Thanks.
I seek something that was stolen.
That's ominous.
Sounds like he's in it for the adventure, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. Whenever we went on an adventure, it was mad at me.
That's because you're too impulsive.
It's not impulsive. It's whimsical.
Excuse me, but are you not a monk? You know the rest of us don't travel at the speed of a snail.
I just stare at him.
He grins. So Brick will, through translation, literally just say, well, you guys, I kind of just came with you. You already know about me. And then he says, should I be drinking? Because I don't actually have an answer. And then Edric immediately, like, pushes the drink toward him. And then...
If you don't have an answer, you have to drink.
Oh, yes. Technically... we'll do that in a minute. Alfia, what is your answer?
Are these chairs are backed, right? They have like a back to them.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of lean back. Believe it or not, I'm here to save all of your lives. With a slight kind of cocky smirk.
Okay, Elon.
What'd you say?
Okay, Elon.
No,
His health is still high for the mushrooms.
Oh, I haven't eaten any
I was
yet.
going to say, you haven't eaten anything yet.
Eric sort of leans back and sort of like looks and just says, wouldn't that make you the smallest hero to ever arise to the occasion?
I kept you alive already, didn't I?
Sort of like, Carrick sort of like is taken back by that and is like,
you have a point.
like I said, the smallest hero to yet arise. I wasn't saying your deeds were small, I was saying just your stature.
I just whispered to Carrick. To be fair, he did save your life. You were unconscious.
I'm also 6'3".
At this point, Garrick's saying it quite sarcastically when he's saying the smallest. But then Garrick sort of leans over, looks to Varnex and just go, oh, did you see what I got hit by?
Edric immediately leans forward and goes, is that your question? As you
Well,
see,
Carrick goes, nope.
you see his very, what's normally a kind of like gentle blue skin. Around the cheeks, it's taken on this weird darker blue. And he's not looking at you properly.
Carrick sort of like smiles quite grinningly and just goes, no, but if it's my question now, I can always ask.
he kind of motions toward you as if to say, "Go ahead."
Right. What is the craziest thing that you've ever had to endure?
So Edric immediately slams his hand onto the table for attention and goes, "I was fucking tortured barely a couple of hours ago. Now that, and I'm still alive. I did. They were using incision tools and like I could show you scars that are in places that are not is very intrusive, shall we say." And then you see he starts to like try to unbuckle his leathers, and the guy next to him just puts his hand on his shoulder. He goes, Not here. Come here."
Eric sort of like laughs a little bit.
Brings him over to one of the what seems to be like empty tents and kind of like just puts him in the corner, and then comes back over. He's we're gonna let him have some quiet time in the yeah.
Just he does well. He needs it, and he needed drink, and he's had it. So good on him.
Varnex, what is your answer?
When you say craziest, do you mean the most traumatic and most traumatizing moment of our lives?
Yeah, so it turns. Could be traumatizing, could be crazy in a wild sense, or something, could be sexual. And sort of like he raises an eyebrow a couple of times to raise it up and down, sort of like, ooh.
I just give him an absolute dead blank stare. I just go, "I witnessed my mother being murdered."
It goes from smiling to just sort of like a jaw drop look of, okay, so just awkwardly eyes gloss over past him and looks towards Soul and points to Soul like, and so
My mother was also murdered in front of me.
sorry, is that
No, but the thing is, I didn't used to do magic, and then I just tossed the thing back again. This.
Magic orb, baby.
Yeah, found it, got attached to it, and then magic.
I sort of look to Brendan and just say, is that crazy and wild, or is that just magical?
What did you say?
I said, Carrick looks to Brennan and just inquires, is that crazy or wild, or is that just plain magical?
I'm not really sure what's even going on with that. If I'm being honest,
Did he drink for that, or do we pass that?
Oh wait, you asking me the question answer, or are you talking about him? And then he looks at Sol.
I'm asking about his answer. Do you find that's crazy, or sort of like dramatic, or craziest thing he's ever done, or is it just plain coincidental magic?
Given that
Think about it this way: if one day you woke up with the thing you can't get rid of, and suddenly you can do magic, isn't that crazy?
I'm sorry, but
Okay,
you people are probably currently the craziest thing that's ever happened to my life. I was literally communicating with a bugbear on friendly terms all of 2 minutes ago. And he looks at Varnex. I'm not really sure what you are, but you don't seem like you're gonna eat me, so that's a positive. So, this is all pretty new. The most we've had to deal with is... And then he turns and looks around and points at the nearest Aranea. That. So, this is all pretty strange, honestly. This is my crazy.
Okay. Fair enough, you don't have to chug your drink unless you feel like it.
He immediately starts downing it.
And so, like, Carrick's like, and so, you pretty much feel free to do the same if you want. And then I just sort of, like, peer my head round him and just go, what about Mr. Halfair here? Mr. Hero of the... How many God knows realms there is in this world?
I've seen some things, but I open up my belt pouch and I pull out one of the purple-headed mushrooms and I toss it to you, Carrick. A demonstration, perhaps. That might get you close to figuring out, learning what the craziest thing I've seen is.
So Carrick sort of looks at it, looks to Halfair, and just sort of like passes it back and just says, maybe. I'm asking you to regale the tale, if you will.
Just pick up a mug in front of me and drink.
Fair enough.
You keep the mushroom. It's yours.
Generous, but I don't really tend to keep mushrooms on me.
I'll take it.
Feel free.
And then I turn to Brennan and then look to Brick. Would you be able to do me the honours of translating to Brick for me?
He nods and just makes note that Brick is loosely following along with what's happening at the minute. And Brick says that the craziest thing that happened was his family got this boon placed onto each of the women of his family by the tree mother, is the way it's explained. Again, it's a weird translation thing. Every woman of his family is blessed to... Halfair, let the dogs out! I knew it! The first woman of each of his family's new generations are blessed with fertility by the tree mother. And he apparently is the only child of his mother's when she was blessed. And it's supposed to be a trickle-down process of the magic, so that the sons carry the more raw power of the magic given to the mothers while being incubated, is pretty much the way it works. And he says the craziest bit is that he's never actually met his mother, but he always felt this kinship with the tree mother whenever he met her, and meeting her more than once was the maddest thing to him, and she even recognized him. And you take it to mean that this tree mother is someone very important in the goblinoid and orc society. It's kind of like the Pope, is the way he's describing it.
So like Carrick sort of like smiles and says, that's quite something. There's quite a good connection to have. And he sort of like pats Brick on the shoulder, smiles, but if anyone could look, it's a bit of a forced smile.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back to Varnex. Or unless by that point the game's wound down.
It's up to you.
I don't fucking know. What's your favourite colour?
He's just sort of like blinks a couple of times like, I like those gemstones are like orangey and black, so that, whatever colour that is.
You hear the plate and half steel boots of assorted figures coming from the tent as they roughly get into a line of sight with most of you. Well now, everybody, I'm glad you've all gotten acquainted, but if you wouldn't mind me asking, who among you are actually wishing to join the retinue? Because I wish to get the paperwork out of the way.
At this point, sort of like, Carrick sort of like looks to Varnex and just says, "What word did he just say?" But quietly.
I go. Yeah, I don't know. Atlesia was not paying attention either.
Carrick sort of like this, sort of like to someone just says, "Is he talking about signing up for the company, or is he talking about signing something else?"
Mosey?
Yep. Sorry, kinda cut off. What did you say?
Carrick sort of leans over the table a little bit and just goes, "Psst," and just goes, "Did he say something about joining the fleets that you guys are a part of, or is he talking about signing some other sort of paperwork?"
I think it was joining, the expedition. But
Carrick sort of
no
like
harm in asking.
Carrick sort of like opens his eyes quite widely to that, puts his hand on the table, sort of like stands up and just sort of like just shows interest.
Wonderful. Anybody else wish to spend a rigorous hour signing and talking documents? To sign you up, of course, to the expedition. That's since it seems a rather slow crowd at the moment. Would anybody else like to sign up? Else, we will keep things on a more mutual, natural ground.
What's the sign up for?
To the expedition.
Did he tell us where the expedition's going?
Not yet.
Okay.
Eric looks to Brick and being like, and then looks to Brennan being like, "Can you help a man out?"
Yeah, what, did you want me to tell him and to get him to sign up, or?
Yeah, sure. If he wants to travel with us.
They kind of speak for a couple of seconds, and Brick just tilts his head a little bit to try and get an eye on Reginald, and he holds his hand up. Ah, rather. That's another one for the books, though. Brennan, I fear you're going to be doing a lot of the real legwork here. And Brennan's just like looking into his cup, and then he just turns and is like, "Huh? What? Oh, never mind, old sport, I'll just do it myself." Well, what about you, Varnex? And you, Halfir, though I believe you would seem more of a free agent in this regard.
Did Soul sign up?
Oh, he was already part of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
wasn't I already a part as well?
Oh shit, yeah, sorry. Fucking, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I stayed quiet.
Well, wonderful.
Might sign me up.
Ah, we have the full pot. Well, I will let you know that if you're all going to sign up, if you want, I can sign you up as either a contracted band, a mercenary band, which, all in all, since I'm the governing officer, would get you quite a prettier penny if you prove your services well. Or you can sign up individually and we will keep things as simple as needed. You will, of course, need a name.
For the
Jungle?
group?
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm gonna let you guys stew on that for a second while I take my doggy out. Billy, do you wanna go out? Can I go out?
Okay, so which one of us is good with names?
Alright, let's think of what we've done. We've
well,
We've
Carrick
explored
sort of
a
looks
primal
amongst you
gate.
guys.
We've explored a primal gate on Earth. We're potentially going to explore the primal gate of water. So we're exploring elements or something.
Carrick sort of like chimes in a little bit, leans down just to sort of like get close to you guys as he stood up and he leads the table and just goes, you two do magic and we like to hit things. We could go with Might and Magic.
Hmm. That sounds actually not too bad.
Eric sort of like smiles to himself. It just sort of like rubs his nose with his finger under his nose and just goes, I do come up with some good ideas at times.
and now we wait.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Oh, that one's fast.
Yeah, I have a small garden. So I let him out for like 2 minutes. He didn't really do anything. Okay, so what is our,
So far, 2 ideas were spouted.
okay.
Kirby's idea. Kirby, if you will.
I didn't actually suggest a name. It was like an idea.
Okay. And that idea is...
I don't know, we're exploring an element, so maybe have that as part of it or something.
And
We
then,
didn't.
yeah, sorry, carry on, Kirby.
No, it's alright, you go.
Well, after that, Carrick just sort of leaned in and said, pointed at Sol and Halfie and went, you two use magic, and looked amongst Varnex and Bricken himself and said, we kind of hit things pretty hard. How about Might and Magic?
Nah. That's a game.
And so was like, oh, that's quite good. And Carrick looked pretty chuffed with himself after hearing that.
So, out of character. It will have to be like everybody unanimous, even if there's like a degree of like, everybody has to be unanimous. So, Jeff, yay or nay for that?
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
That's very in character as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
He's just like, oh, it's just a name. Who
I don't care
cares?
about that.
Kirby, yay or nay?
Yeah, again, whatever.
Mosey.
Yeah, whatever.
Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after Brick is told, he just kind of looks down at his weapon, slowly raises it up, and immediately you hear people drawing swords in the background. Then he slowly lowers it back down again, and just looks over at the guys sat by the fire, looking at him with their weapons slowly sheathed.
So like, you see Carrick sort of put his arm out to be like, come on, lower that down.
He's already put it back
And
down
sort
on his
of
side.
looks to the group at the fire and just sort of like gives a very calm wave like.
Well,
But like a cheery smile with an awkward wave. Like,
well, with that all settled rather swiftly, which I must commend you all on. Usually it takes people quite a handful of days to come up with something half decent. But if that works for you, then wonderful. Will it be the 5 of you, or do you have anyone else you would like to adopt into it? It is totally fine if you want to do it at a later date. I only needed at least 3 of you to agree.
so 5 of us for the time being. Like finding a trusty companion in a dog. Would pick up a stray upon the way if the time meets coincidence and it is fated to be.
Well, as I said, if you do pick up anybody else, just let me know. I'll have to have them sign the paperwork and put them into the payroll, but all is well and good. Well then, I will be calling you all in one by one, and we will sort this out. I hope you're all ready for a riveting series of hours of paperwork, because that's all it's going to be. Anyway, enjoy the next, then you see he looks up toward the sky, and little bits of like darker hues are starting to come over. I would say roughly about 3 hours of daylight before it becomes rather creepy around here. Get yourselves some sleep, finish off whatever drinks you desire, and get yourself an early morning if you can help it. And I will meet you all sharpish at around 7 in the morning. After, of course, we finish our paperwork.
That's good.
The dog really hates paperwork, it's fine.
Oh my god, that startled me so much. Holy shit! It went quite like, well, of course the paperwork. Silence of it.
It's like, fucking paperwork! No!
Oh my
Not ready!
God. My chest, oh my fucking god. I got the volume up loud as well.
Really hates bureaucracy, I see.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe the dog just hates the group name.
Oh.
Oh god.
I mean, to be fair, Connor literally said, what if we get a dog and add it? Yeah, see, the dog disagree. You can't have that name anymore, apparently. So as Elnalise and Reginald walk off and return to the main tent, Katrina takes a seat at the end, sits in front of just the normal, looks kind of mid-age almost. He's got these like liver spots, and his hair is very greying around the edges. Very, very deep widow's peak. He looks, again, it's rough to tell exactly, but he looks like he's a human. And he's currently like looking into her eyes, like he's just mesmerised by them, and she's just casually talking with him about daily life and how his family are and the like. And when he starts to talk about his wife, there's this kind of like gloss over his eyes for a moment where he then just kind of like slumps into his chair a little bit more, and he's just like, ugh, and very downbeat about it. Is there anything you guys want to do?
Eric, after noticing they walk off and leave. Well, Reginald and Emily. Carrick leans down and looks to Sol and just says, "What does spiffing mean?"
So,
Was it?
Sorry. Can we stop for today?
yeah,
Can do if you answer my question.
You cannot
What's the
leave.
question again?
Carrick leaned down and looked to Sol as Reginald walked away and said, "What does spiffing mean?"
Out of character, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You're
I
too
was
young
talking
to know
about, I was talking
building
about
a
in character.
Yeah, he doesn't know out, he doesn't know in.
Nope, no idea. Your guess is as good as mine.
And Carrick just looks all the more confused and just says, "Man, he comes out with some interesting words."
For the sake
I wonder if he's a librarian.
for the sake of pushing things so we can end quick then.
Yes.
The end of the night goes around pretty swiftly. You're all given assorted spaces. For the most part, you do share tents with some other people. The two tents that are available, and you have to kind of divvy them up amongst yourselves. This top right one and bottom left one. So place yourself into whichever ones you like. It has a capacity of 4 people.
Obi.
You finish up whatever food and drink you have available to you. You sign up your paperwork. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. You, crawl in for the night, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I guess that will be that. Jeff, are you there?
I don't think so.
And not being assailed by a dog?
I'm gonna say I think he's BRB's, like he left a message, not said look.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I'm gonna assume he's not returned.
Okay then. Cool. Is there anything anyone wants to ask or otherwise? Also, Connor, you do get inspiration because obviously.
Of course. Yeah, I've already clicked it in.
Nice. Does anyone have any questions? Or any statements? Or
Do we have like yeah, I have something. Like, other than obviously this, did he tell me or Varnex about a mission, like an overall mission, something else we need to do?
the broad mission of the expedition itself, pardon me, is to make this place more hospitable, because at the moment it is literally just wild lands. No one knows what's here. They know that it's run by a distinct series of clans and their rules, but mostly it's chaotic. They're trying to bring a semblance of order here and allow it to be less of a dangerous spot. They're trying to keep things under a degree of control so that people can walk around without either being eaten or murdered by someone. Because at the minute, this location itself is only safe because it's so far out of the reach of most of the other clans and hidden beneath a canopy of trees that nobody bothers to get to it. But they are assailed by random creatures that will run by every now and again. So they're using this place as a start point to slowly explore the rest of the island and either make diplomatic relationships with the clans and make it some degree of diplomacy and, make them more civilized, or to slowly but surely convert or eradicate any hostile elements. So if, for example, the orcs turned around and was just like, okay, yeah, fine, we'll be all societal and shit, we won't be sacrificing people for the hell of it or attacking our neighbouring clans just because we want more resources, then that's a mission succeeded there, and they'll go to someone else. But yeah, bring peace to the Middle East, as a certain bunch of arse fucks tried to say before.
Yeah, how did that work?
Yeah, fucking shit faces. But yeah, long story short, they're trying to make this place more civil and see what's around.
We're essentially colonizers.
Yeah, kind of. You guys, however, since you're hired contractors, you can you can take on the missions that he gives you to go to a specific place. There's a varied amount of things you can do. You're not stuck to having to do like missionary work. You can literally go to ruined areas and explore it. Similar to with the cave, you go there, find out what's there, and you are told a set of parameters. You follow it as broad or as minimal as you want, and you'll get paid equal to what you bring back.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Hello, Juf.
What's up? What'd I miss?
We will be ending, but the 2 tents that are circle marked, of course, unless you, of course, go in the forest, are
Yeah, I'm gonna
places.
sleep in the trees.
Honestly, I kind of figured. Yeah, we'll be ending it there. Everyone will finish off their foods and the like, sign up their contracts. If you have any questions about the contract, feel free.
Sure.
And then everyone will just like crawl in for the night for the most part. And you guys will get a long rest.
Hey.
Yay!
Awesome.
So if there's any questions about the contract, feel free to ask. Otherwise, that's that.
Have we been told anything about it yet?
Yeah. So for a TLDR, the broad scope of the expedition is to, basically colonize this place, make it less of a survival zone because of all the roaming dinosaurs and monsters and the clans killing everything that moves. They're trying to make it a more peaceful place, either by telling the clans to calm their shit down or killing something until it works. That's what you guys are here for. You're here to explore, find anything that can be used to make this place safer, find other villages that need help and help them if need be. There's a broad scope. You can kind of do whatever you want in a set degree of parameters. It's like, go there, do a thing. If it turns out the place is hostile, you be hostile.
But there's no like time limit on. We've
No.
not been given like a specific job, like go do this now. Okay.
Not just yet, but I do have a list for later. And you guys will get paid based on what you bring back. So if you bring back an emissary that can prove this or that, or you bring back assorted gems and it's like, oh, this place has this, and they send someone to scout it and it's true, you'll get a score of any money that they get off of those items. So yeah.
Cool.
Cool. But you guys will get a fixed, as long as you are contributing something, you guys will always have a place to rest, you will always have food, and you'll never have to pay for either. And you'll be given a minimum wage of 10 gold a month. That's not counting anything that you earn.
Right. That's just the flat fee.
Mm-hmm. However, if no contributions are made in the month, the next month's will be deducted to balance it out.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah. So, might and magic, you filthy nerds. That's session for today.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yep.
It's a good one. So yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Enjoy sleep.
Good night.
Bye.